All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right, good to see everybody today. My name is Fidelis. I want to welcome you all to this event, or really a meeting, is what I want to call it. And I think that, I'm happy to see so many people here. I want to start by acknowledging today being Juneteenth, celebrating should be 150 years since the day that those Union soldiers marched down to Texas to let the enslaved people know that they had been freed 2 years earlier by the Emancipation Proclamation. So I would just like to take a moment of silence for us to honor the ancestors, to honor those enslaved people who had fought for their freedom, and just to also think about the responsibility that we have to the future that we have to create for the people that are coming after us as well. So if we all just take a short moment of silence. All right, thank you. All right, so I want to start today by asking y'all a question. Do you feel powerful today?
Yes.
All right, y'all didn't sound like y'all believe. Do y'all feel powerful today?
Yes.
All right. So I want everybody to repeat after me. All power to the people.
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 One more time. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All right. Thank you. So today's meeting is titled "All Politics Are Local," and the reason why we wanted to have this meeting, what it really came out of, is in April 27th, I hosted another meeting at Central City Park titled "Engage Youth Consciousness." And at that meeting, what my intentions was to talk to young people in Milledgeville and Baldwin County about some of the things that they felt were important that we needed to address, things that they wanted to see change in their local community. And in the midst of that discussion, Mr. Barnes here was present, and one of the things that he said that stuck with me was that all politics are local, meaning that a lot of the things that we want to see changed are things that have to be addressed at a local level, right? I know we all understand currently what the state of our federal and state politics are, and there's still a lot of things that we can do to influence or to change things on those levels. But most importantly, what I feel and the sentiment that Mr. Barnes echoed at that event is that we also have to be just as, if not more, concerned with the infrastructure of our local politics, right? One of the things that I think about, and the reason why I had that event in the first place, was that a lot of young people are very disengaged from politics, especially their local politics. A lot of young people, I mean, you can look around the room now. We have a good number of young people here, and I'm happy to see, younger faces. But we need more. We need more in these rooms, right? And so that has been one of my missions since returning to Milledgeville last year, is that I really wanted to come back and make it my mission to engage young people in this community around local politics, because a lot of the things that are going to impact them as they build the foundations to their lives in the future are things that happen locally. And if they're not involved with these things, if they don't know about these things, and if we don't create the platform for them to become involved and to learn more, then we're not setting up the young people to be able to have a bright future. I recently just turned 27, so I don't know if I qualify as a young person anymore. But I'm someone who's always been extremely passionate about my community. I was raised, and I came to Milledgeville when I was 12. And so I went to middle school, high school, and college. I went to Georgia College and graduated in 2020. And Milledgeville, the people I've met in Milledgeville, the people who mentored me in Milledgeville, have played such a significant part of me becoming the person that I am today. And so I feel a great responsibility in trying to return that favor and creating a better community for the young people that will be coming after me. So to sort of state the purpose of this meeting, so that we all understand why we're here, the first thing is one, to unify the voices of the community, right? So one of the things that I wanted to do when I first got back is figure out who in Milledgeville was doing things to help better the community. And there are a lot of different groups and a lot of different individuals that are doing really amazing things in this community. And but the one thing that I found that was not really happening was people speaking with a unified voice. We all have a lot of the same concerns. We are all facing a lot of the same problems. But the issue is that we're not all speaking with the same voice, right? And a lot of times we are trying to have access to the same resources, but not collaborating. So I really want to work towards that being something that becomes a norm in our community, that we speak with a unified voice and we work and more. I mean, there's a lot of great collaboration going on, but I think it definitely could be better, and I think that it could have a great impact if we could see, a lot of these people be able to come to the same platform and use the same voice to speak about the issues in our community. The second purpose of this meeting is to begin to organize a concrete list of demands for our locally elected officials and the candidates that are running for office this year. So kind of piggybacking off the first point that I made, speaking with a unified voice, a lot of the things that when we talk about being able to influence or get involved with local politics or politics in general, a lot of times people always go to their elected officials, their politicians, and they have questions, and having questions is good, but a lot of times people also need to have demands. They need to know not only what these politicians plan to do for them, but they also need to have demands of the people that they put in positions of power, right? If you know that there are certain issues going on in your community and you want these issues addressed, you need to have a way to hold people accountable. And so one of the things that I would like to see happen as this election is coming up is that we have a group of people in the community that are unified, that will speak with one voice and will have demands that speak to the needs of everyone in the Milledgeville community. And so that's something that, it's not gonna happen in just one meeting. My hope is that we have many more meetings from here today to be able to really work towards those demands. Everything we won't agree on, and we don't have to agree on everything, but the things that we do agree on, those are the things that we need to be able to find points of unity and organize around. And so in the short term, as I've listed up here, the short-term goal is to be able to present this to the people that are going to be running for local office this year. And then in the long term, what this will also help us do is that not only do our locally elected officials need to be held accountable, but we need to be held accountable, right? There's a lot of things that we need to be doing in between elections that we're not doing. And so we always wait until an election year comes around before people start speaking up about things, before people start wanting to educate people. If an election is happening in 2 months, that's not enough time to educate everybody in the community that needs to be educated, right? That's not enough time to organize people in the community that need to be organized. So that's something that we need to be doing consistently. So we also have to be held accountable as a community as to what we're not doing. So that's a long-term goal, and also just being proactive and not being reactive, right? There's a lot of things that are happening right now that I personally can say I saw coming a mile away, but we were not being proactive about it as a community, not just in Milledgeville, but the nation was not being proactive about it, right? And so now that these things are happening, people are being very reactive, but there's a lot of, they always say prevention is better than cure, right? And so we need to start taking preventative measures against things that we know are coming down the pipeline, and we need to be able to protect our communities against those things. So there's also a few people that I would like to have speak tonight as we get into it. So and when they speak, then we'll sort of get into an open discussion about what some of those demands could look like and what some things could look like that we could take action on in the future and how we could move forward. But as I mentioned, we have elections coming up this November. One of the things that is going to be happening, and I would like for Ms. Edwards to come up and speak a little bit more about it, is a forum that will be happening for the local candidates. And so the short-term goal for me is that by the time we get to this forum, this is where we can have that list of demands to be able to present, right? This is where we could, our first test on speaking with a unified voice and being organized around the things that we agree on that our politicians need to address. And so I'd just like for Ms. Edwards to give a little bit more detail about that and just kind of speak as to why it would be important for people to come out to that and what the NAACP as well as others are working on in regards to that forum that's coming up. Ms. Edwards, y'all give her a hand.
Thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank Fidelis for putting this on tonight, this evening. It won't be the last time. Again, like he said before, we're looking for young folk. We got to be able to pass that torch at some time. So, I was with a group today, AARP, and those men and women are those that we are standing on the shoulders of. Sometimes we forget about those groups, but they have been in the background supporting us in what we're doing here in Baldwin County. And I want to say on any other NAACP members, first of all, my dad would always say, if you don't praise you, it's a poor frog don't praise his own pond. So if you're a member of NAACP, will you please stand? Thank you. Our NAACP is a unique organization. We don't just, we're for all people, black, brown, it doesn't matter if there's discrimination. But not just, and I know I don't want to take up too much time, and sometimes when you got the mic, you got to give a little bit of the history, okay? So then when we talk about, a lot of times folks think they shy away from NAACP because they think we just got our fist up in the air and we're coming out, just fighting and discrimination, but we fight against education. That's not right. We do a lot of things here, and we're community people. We do a lot here with this 5169. I can't speak for any other 516, any other NAACP in the state of Georgia, but 5169, listen, we do our thing here in Baldwin County, so we're always out and being a part of any other organization. But when we talk about, and Fidelis is one of my young guys, that if I throw you the ball and you want to catch it, I'm coming to you. So he caught the ball, in my opinion, and we're going to run with it. And what we're planning on doing in September, we're going to have a forum for all those that are running. And still the same here, we don't really know who's going to run yet. For the most part, we know a few people that are going to run, but it's kind of hard. So we wait for them to tell us their platform, but we need to have something already that we want for them to do, just like what Fidelis was saying. And I've met with a couple of different groups, the progressive women, a progressive group, not just women anymore, and they got issues and things, so we need to just come together, even with the Democratic Party, with my good friend Quentin over there in the corner. It's good to see you as well, but just to come together to, come up with something that we need to present to these folks that are running. Because it's all about accountability. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're my friend, I'm going to hold you accountable. Because you've got our lives at stake. But in September, we're going to have a forum. We're still in the planning stages. I'm working with Stephanie McClure and with Aaron on trying to finalize everything, but we're going to have a forum, and we want people to come out and ask those tough questions. Don't be afraid, because we've got some big issues here in Milledgeville, Baldwin County, and it starts on a local level. It starts here local, and if we're strong on a local level together, we can move up from local to state to nation, to the national. So that's where we are, so we're hoping that you'll hear more about it as the days, as we move farther along with our forum. I think we have the date set for September the 15th. I don't know right off, but you'll be hearing more about that as well. Check our Facebook page. If you're not a member of our Facebook page, it's Baldwin County NAACP. That's where basically all the information is, or sometimes I'll post it on my personal Facebook page. But we're looking forward to that and looking forward to working with everybody. And this is an awesome guy. Y'all, we're getting ready for the future. This is no joke. We're living in unprecedented times, and it's time to start making a change.
Thank you. Yeah, so as she said, and as I've written up here, presenting our demands is one of the important things that needs to happen. Again, because a lot of times if you just go in there and you're asking them for their platform, a lot of times they can talk around the issues, right? And that's kind of what, a lot of politicians are trained to do. But when you have a list of demands and you go out there and you tell them that this is what the community is concerned about, will you address this? And if they say yes, then you have something to hold them accountable to. In writing, on paper, you said yes, this is what we presented to you, and we can hold you accountable to that, right? Rather than if you ask them something, they talk around it, and then you try to follow up with them later, they tell you, well, that's not exactly what I meant, or, you know, this is holding that up, or that is holding that up. So, like she said, we also as a community need to have our own platform to present to them. And the second thing which she spoke about is accountability. And so, you know, one person that always I've come across in the community that is doing some good work and always brings that to my mind is Mr. Tommy French, who is part of the Milledgeville, the Harrisburg Collaborative, and I was part of the Juneteenth event that they recently put together. But, you know, Mr. French, you know, he and I spoke for a little bit, and I was telling him about this event, and he was telling me about a lot of, you know, things and that the community needs to do in terms of holding, you know, people accountable. And so, Mr. French, you know, I would love for you to come up and, you know, in your experience, I know you've been in the game a long time, you know, in your experience, speak to some of the things that, you know, people need to know in terms of being able to hold people accountable to their demands.
You kind of put me on the spot, but that's fine. As Della said, I've been working with the Harrisburg Collaborative. I'm a former commissioner. I've been around politics for a minute. And I always state this: we cannot hold anybody accountable except ourselves. First of all, you got to learn it's a lot more that you can do than your elected official can do. A lot of things go on. I've been to meetings all over the state. I'll give you one for example. They always have a thing called strategic planning. It happens almost every 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. There's only about 3 or 4 people in that strategic planning. So you have a population of 50,000 people in Baldwin County. 3 or 4 people decide what's going to happen in your community. Gerrymandering, a lot of people hear about it, how people vote, and their vote is actually hindered by circumstances where they put certain groups that vote for certain people into certain areas. But they have their redistricting, public hearings all the time. You see something that says public hearing, we aren't there. So what happens, not only do we have to plan for the elected officials and plan to hold them accountable, we have to have strategic planning as well. What do you need in your community? Like the Boy Scout says, you gotta get up early, you gotta be the first. To win something, you have to plan what you want first. Find out what the people want, do your surveys, how you gonna get there, how you gonna make the money for it, and then come together as a whole. It doesn't matter what race you are, what height you are, what age you are. It is what you want and what's right and what's wrong. And until you get that figured out, instead of looking at your news medias, other people telling you what to do or how to vote, do your research. I told people when I was young, to find out something, you had to be strong. You go to the library, you get 15, 20 books. I had to tote all those books and flip through those books. When you find out what you needed, then you had to go to the part store and go through a book about this big to find the part. Now, it takes you 35, 40 seconds to find the first piece of information on your phone. You can go to the second information. They have references, so you don't have to worry about what's not true, what's true. You can find out when you're voting, why we're voting. We just had an election, not many people know, Public Service Commission. Costs you more than any other elected official is, your utilities. But we don't know the elected people that's on that ballot, personally. And if you ever have a problem where all of a sudden Plant Harley decides to stop regulating their ash ponds by the EPD, so arsenic, cyanide, everything goes into your drinking water, all of a sudden you got a battle with, like Juliet just had with Georgia Power. And they bring 15, 20 of the highest political lawyers in the world. And you've got a child here with all kinds of cancer. And you fighting those lawyers with a lawyer in Milledgeville that you came together to straight $3,000 for a retainer fee. So we have to be progressive, as the Delis has said, collaborate, and understand what you're facing. We're behind the curve right now, not as a political engine, as Democratic, Republican. We're behind as a people because our people are being led blindly. We've been led by pharmaceuticals, we've been led by big companies, we've been led by everything that makes a dollar. But we're being led to think that it's about your rights to this, your rights to history, your rights to this stuff, but it's your right to understand and be able to fight what's right for you. And the only way that's going to happen is people come together, understand what they want, come up with a strategic plan, follow that plan to make the changes. Fidelis, young people, I challenge you. Like I always tell everybody, it's not what Mr. Bus is doing, not what Ms. Davis is doing, it's not what the president is doing, it's what you and I are doing. It starts with us. You can do a whole lot more than you think if you take the time to find out. That's all I thank you, Fidelis.
Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned the Public Service Commission because I was just talking to Mr. Barnes before we started about the Hancock County community. And I don't know how many of you are aware about the fight that's been going on down in Hancock County for the last 3 years with the railroad company that's trying to take land and property from a black community down there. When I came back last year, that was one of the communities that I met with and I was organizing with. And I met Miss Janet Smith down there, who's the leader of the No Railroad in our community coalition. And one of the things, in relation to the Public Service Commission, is that community went up to the Public Service Commission twice. Now, this railroad company is a private railroad company, but railroads in the United States have had power for a very long time. And so they're able to operate under the guidelines of a public utility, even though they're not. And so we went up with them to the Public Service Commission twice, and on both times the Public Service Commission sided with the railroad company against that community. So that's why these kinds of elections are very important, because stories like that happen all the time in the United States when it comes to black communities losing their land, all right? And so that's one of the things that a lot of people don't get to see because it may not be happening in your community. You may not understand why it's important to vote for something like the Public Service Commission, right? Until a railroad is trying to come to your backyard, and then you go to the Public Service Commission and they say, well, they can do what they want to do. But the other thing that I saw, which is something that also gives me a lot of hope for what we're doing here, is they were able to organize last year when they had their Board of Commissioners elections, and they were able to organize and replace all of their sitting commissioners except for one, and voting a new chairman. And that was something that took a lot of work. They were hitting the ground every day. I was out there with them putting up Black Voters Matter signs and the election signs, and I was out there in the heat with Miss Smith. But that was something that really showed me what a community can do when they come together. Because what used to happen was that we would go to the zoning and planning meetings, and they would make one decision in regards to the railroad, and then the commissioners would overturn it, right? And so that was one of the things that really showed me that how important local politics is, because that's something that is affecting them right now, and most of them are older. Most of them are in their 70s, 80s, some in their 90s. And so this is an elderly community that's working really hard right now to preserve their community, to save their land and their properties. And so if something like that is happening in our backyard, what tells us that it can't happen here in Baldwin County and in Milledgeville, all right? And so, like he said, we're honestly behind the curveball, but it's something that if we become proactive about now, those kinds of things we won't have to worry about in the future. And so with these demands, another thing in terms of holding ourselves accountable is also, in strategic planning, is also planning and understanding what happens if our demands are not met. And one of the things that Mr. Barnes has drilled into our heads as the young people that he comes around is, well, are you gonna run for office? Are you gonna run for office? And I think that's an important question, because one of the things that I tell conversations that I've had with Mr. Barnes is, we may not be able to get our demands across in this election, but that doesn't mean we abandon the fight. And a lot of times what happens is that people think that the election, or that whatever that one goal that you set, if you don't get that, then that's the end of the fight, right? A lot of people abandon the struggle after that one thing doesn't happen. But one of the things that I've been talking and having conversations with Mr. Barnes a lot is about developing our future generation of leadership. And so, Mr. Barnes, I would love for you to come up and speak shortly about that and your vision on that and the things that, you know, we've been discussing and what you think the community needs to do towards developing that new leadership.
I don't need a mic there. Good evening. Okay. All right. Truth. We getting old. Mature. We can't continue to do it all the time. And we got to be willing to turn it over. We got to be willing to invest in young people. Sometimes they're not going to do it the way we would want them to do it. We just got to smile and if we believe in it. And we have to challenge them to say, hey, listen, you know, I can't make some of those trips like I used to. So it's time for us to begin to engage and have conversations with younger people, like say, because I'm still pretty young now, don't get me wrong. But we got a plan, right? And don't wait till I can't do it to begin to look behind me. Go ahead and start training now so you can turn it over when it's time. So I think that's something we need to begin to do, all of us. We got young people, younger people in our lives. Ask them, why aren't you getting involved? Why you are a leader in this community, in this neighborhood? Become a leader in the city. You know, because when Tommy ran, former Commissioner French, he didn't have any experience. He just jumped in the fight. So we got to begin to engage our young people to jump in the fight. And then those who have experience, don't be afraid to share it. And share it. Because, you know, the greatest, you know when you're a leader, when you look behind you and there's some folks trying to do what you're doing. If you look behind you and nobody there, then you might want to rethink some stuff. Okay? So we have to begin to train, and we have to begin to share and trust our young people so that they can trust us, that we are not holding on to power to our dying day. Are y'all understand? That we're not doing that. That it's time for us to share it, and as they move forward, we'll give them a push and let them go forth. So that's why I've been challenging all these young people. Say, you know, don't just talk about it. Let's be about it. Amen. Just be about it, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it? And we got to just continue to have those conversations. So those are the things I was talking to Mr. Fidelis about, and hopefully we can leave here having those same conversations with younger people.
All right, thank you. And so following up on that, thinking into the future, and you know, one last person that I'd like to have come up, and really what I'm trying to do with the people I'm bringing up is trying to set the tone for the conversation that we're about to have. All right, and so thinking into the future, thinking, as he said, about those younger people that we need to engage. And at the last event that we did, met this young man, Mr. Keyshawn Harris, who moved back to Milledgeville from Washington and had been involved in politics up there, and you know, is a fairly young guy. And I spoke to him and I said, people need to hear from you and your experience in Washington, going up there as a young person, working with the political machine up there, and coming back home, you know, and the things and the valuable experience that he can bring to us in ways in which we can communicate that to young people. And so I'd like to have Keyshawn come up here and share some of his words of wisdom before we open up the conversation.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. I am Keyshawn Harris from the South Side, and I'm back on the South Side. Born and raised right here in Milledgeville, Georgia, and had an opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. To serve this country in politics, and now I've returned home with an opportunity to help push our community forward and bring the experiences that I experienced in Washington, D.C. forward. You know, as we look, as natives and newcomers, we look across our city, we see a tale of two cities. A side that's full of investment and a side that barely has working streetlights. And so before we start to unify people, we have to educate people about their power. We got to remind the community that despite your circumstances, you still have an opportunity to make a difference and to take your torch in your own hand and push your community forward. And ways they did this in Washington, D.C. was their community associations and civic associations worked as a unit. So when a politician came to their community, they said, we're not voting for you. We're not going to support you. We're not going to hear you out until you come and listen to what we have to say. Hear what our concerns are. Hear what keeps us up at night over the kitchen table. And through that, they were able to make significant change. For example, one key issue we have here in Milledgeville is gentrification. We hear it all the time about the lack of affordable housing. There's a community in Washington, D.C. called Bellevue. And that civic association said there will be no new developments in our neighborhood until the politicians, until the business leaders, until the real estate leaders listen to what we have to say. And through that, they were able to push the DC Council to increase the percentage of affordable housing in the city, citywide. And so it can start in a neighborhood and push forward across a community. So you got to educate, then you unify, and then you talk about that action. You know, we're here in a church, so it's a little bit fitting that you got to write down your vision and make it plain. Sometimes it may take a little while, it may tarry, but that doesn't mean that it won't come true. You got to keep knocking at it and keep pushing forward. And if there aren't people that are there to support you, then hey, keep marching forward. Let them go by the wayside. And then the last piece is you got to mobilize. Once you've educated, once you've unified, and once you have set up your demands and your lists and your dreams and desires, then you got to get in the community and get your boots on the ground. You got to really make sure that people understand that you are there. The south side is here, the west side is here, the east side is here, and the north side. You got to make sure that they understand that we're not just going to show up at the voting booth. We're going to show up at your doorstep. We're going to show up in your community and let you know, hey, man, you know, why is Milledgeville 40 to 50% black, but some of our city contracts are 20% going to our community? And so through this conversation today, thank you, Fidelis, and thank you to the team that hosted today. This is an opportunity for us to do something different, to do and demand more, and to really unify our community so that we can be a better, brighter Milledgeville, Baldwin County. Thank you.
Y'all hear the blueprints for us? That's inspirational right there. So, and I really appreciate that, Keyshawn. And so that's what the message that we need to be communicating to our community. And so now what I want to do is open up the conversation with you all, and where we can start talking about what are some of the concerns that we have, some of the things that we want to bring as a platform to our politicians and to this community as issues that we need to address. All right, and as I mentioned, you know, the list of demands, the things that we want to see fixed, we're not going to be able to figure it all out in this one meeting, and we're going to continue having meetings until we get to that forum in December. All right, and so right now, what we need to do is at least lay down the foundation and sort of come together and figure out what is it that everybody in the room is concerned about, and what do we want to ask our local leaders, you know, to address. What do we want to see them tackle, you know, in these upcoming years, and how can they help to make this a better community, a more equitable community for everybody. And so, you know, I'll just start with that question. You know, what are your concerns? You know, what are the things that you see happening in Milledgeville and Baldwin County that you think are things, urgent needs, you know, in short term and long term? So whoever wants to start, I will pass the mic around.
I'll start. Hi, you guys. I'm Arnita Pittman, born and raised Milledgeville, Georgia. The number one thing that I have the biggest complaint about is housing. Let's just start on the south side, because that's where we are. There's no reason that I have friends and some family members who are not able to, you know, afford housing that is decent. You know what I'm saying? All these, it's a lot of slumlords around here, and we are allowing them to just take over. I could start naming, but I won't, because y'all know who they are. Particularly the trailer park that was just bought out. A young lady told me that nothing is being fixed. No pest control, no, just nothing. We have a community garden in a manor, and so we've been speaking with those people, and they have a list of complaints. So my first concern is housing. Secondly, I have a special needs kid. I would like to see more resources like I've seen in the city, because I had to leave, you know what I'm saying, to gain the knowledge that I have in order to assist my kid, because he's 6 now, but when he was 2, there wasn't a lot around here to help me with him. So I would like to see more things for our kids, period, but especially for our special needs. If I think of anything else, I'll get back to you.
Jobs.
Jobs. Jobs. Employment.
Yes, as the young lady was speaking, it would be nice for more affordable homes here for people, for us to live in. And it would be nice if the landlords come in these communities and see things broke down and fix them, but they'll come every month and look for that rent. And there's things need to be did, and to help these young people, like, I know his mother very good, Doris, and to help these young people. We are getting older, so push it to these young folks, and we talk to them and let them know our demands, what we expect for them to do. And keep talking to them, keep scribing for them. Most of all, keep praying for them. Because prayer changes things. I've lived through life to know that prayer changes things. I got a family member, and I'm dearly talking to him about it. And I'm just praying for him. I want you all to pray for him. And if he decides to run, I think he'll make a nice person. And like the girl say, help for the young people, like her kid need help. And they'll give the help to somebody else what really don't need it. And the person that need it, they won't help them. I go in the store now, and if I've seen a couple of people, and I know they got kids, and they got juice or whatever on the counter, I pay for it out of my pocket, because I know the man above gonna bless me back with it. And one girl told me, she said, "Ma'am, can I hug your neck?" I said, "Honey, I'm just as poor as you." I said, "But I have a few nickels. And why would I see you trying to pay for something for your kids to drink when I'm able to pay for it?" But we got to get somebody in there who want to do what we need did for us. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I just want to say, everybody can look. My name is Valerie Harris, and I just want to say, you be needing help around here, and you can't get help from the people, but because it look like they helping they same peoples. Like for instance, I'm gonna say it ain't no shame. My lights was off because I don't work. I'm wearing a life vest. I can't work anymore. The doctor said not to work, but I ain't got no disability or nothing. But still, though, I was trying to get help from Overview and different other places. They give me the name, but you call them folk. Look, this lady told me, said, well, we ain't got nothing. And then, look, my lights out now. Then the next day, what happened the next day, I heard, from different people, they done paid some bills for some people the next day. People had appointments, but they didn't even try to give me a call and help me, period. And it's just a shame, that's just how that is. But guess what? I try not to let none of this stuff worry me, because I'm probably going to be living long as them with this life vest on. And that's what I'm saying. You can't even get help from this, because I believe they helping their family members, people that they know, let them all get in, and won't let nobody else get in and get the help. And we be needing help too. I know I do. I don't know about nobody else.
All right. Anyone else? So we have housing, we have employment, we have youth, child care, help for our disabled. I know, I'm sure y'all have some stuff. All right, Mr. Bliss.
Good evening, everybody. For the ones that don't know me, I'm Kendrick Butts, Commissioner of District 2. I hear everybody concerned, but a lot of things, it is beyond the scope of me and the commission. That don't mean we're not going to try to help you and do those things and solve those things. The housing, we're in the process of doing that with the CHIP grant. We're looking at things to try to do for the homeless people. You got to realize and understand, we got a tight budget we have to work with. We would love to see y'all come and say these things, but a lot of things y'all saying are outside. And I'm going to be honest with you, I ain't going to come here and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what the information and the resources I have to work with. And if I could give everybody help, every person in here, I promise you I would definitely do it. I'm a lifelong citizen of District 2, born and raised in Barty Project, across from Miss Margaret. Moved to the manor and lived and came out on my granddaddy land, which is our state to this day. So we understand I understand your struggle. And I assure you that Commissioner Davis understands your struggles. We know that, but I'm more about having solutions to problems and getting people motivated and getting people, the right people in office. Like Mr. Bourne said, local politics matter, because that will affect you immediately. And a foundation is started from the bottom level and build up top. That's why we have the federal level we got now, because it started at the bottom level that people support that. Things we get on a counter now that going on, it's going to be tough. We finna go through some tough times. We finna go like the days of Joseph when he went into Egypt, where he had to do some things and prepare and put stuff in the storehouse. You better get prepared for what's about to come down the line if you don't go vote and you don't get involved in your community. But I promise you, Commissioner Davis and I are fighting very hard to accomplish things you need and want in the community. I like that I came in this meeting tonight because I had been to another event. I thank God I did come to listen to the youth. And that's some of the things I said at the meeting today, that I consider myself a bridge from the youth to the elders, and put it on my back. I'm all right with it. I can handle it. I was 135 pounds, 17 years old, with an 80-pound pack on my back in the Marine Corps, humping 30, 40 miles a day, so I can handle it. I have no problem with you calling me any time of the day, addressing your opinions to me. Just be respectful, all I ask. We here to assist you, try to come up with a solution to solve the problem. But it's only so many dollars can go around, people. But y'all hold me accountable to make sure them dollars get in the right place. We get over $200-300 million in the T-Splash funds over a 5-year period. It's my job, once y'all approve that, to make sure that those dollars go. And I promise you, Mr. Barnes hold me accountable all the time for where they need to go. And y'all need to be at those meetings like he at the meeting and saying that. You say, you're going to do this? He educated me on some things. I don't know everything. I'll be the first one to tell y'all, I don't know everything. I came in this thing blind, just like Commissioner French did. Researching, I love to read, I love to research, I love to fill the paper, I love to engage the people, I love to hear y'all concerns, because I don't say complaints, I say concerns. But in the end, it's got to be a collective thing that the whole community do. A lot of things I don't know about, like what Ms. Ruby said with the overview, because I don't have control over that. But I will make a phone call if you call me and see why they're not, because we work hand in hand with them. But if you don't call me and refer it to me, I don't know. I don't know the situation, because we deal with so many organizations and so many going on the road that we can't be everywhere. Y'all my voice and ears out here. And I welcome y'all to engage me and tell me what you're doing. I'm going to investigate it, I promise you, if you call me. And I'm going to be truthful with you with the facts that I find out. I understand about the housing market we got. Unfortunately, it's a callous town. They dealing with that. We're steady trying to fight on the south side. We got some people in here that's on the Central State Redevelopment Board. Hopefully, if it'll be something come down in the near pipe, that we working hard. Show up at out there Central State Redevelopment. Most of the land owned out in the state is not owned by the county. It's got the city and it's got the state level on it. Reach out to your state representative. Reach out to them and ask them, why are you not redeveloping this out here? So a lot of things went on that I have no control over that because their meetings are the same day our meetings is. Once it hit the paper, I know about that by what I see in the paper. And understand that because I wasn't a part of that. I hear y'all concerns. I'm here to work. I never forget that I work for you all. I don't care. I hope this young man and Keisha one day gonna take my place. And if it be on the next election, I'm okay with that. If you beat me out, I'm gonna shake your hand and say, well, you're a bad man. And I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna be there for to support you and come and get all them books and that paper I got at my house, because you're gonna need it. And that's what I'm gonna tell you. I have no problem with that. This position I hold, it belongs to the people. It belongs to the people. I would never get mad at anybody want to run against me. Anybody that want to run against me, anybody want, if you're good enough, I might tell you I ain't even running no more. I'm gonna pay your fee for you to run. So I'm okay with that because I don't own that position. The people own it. Let's work together, make our community better. I'm about God, family, and the community. Wherever I go. And I'm gonna leave it with that, y'all. I hope everybody know my number and my website where you can reach out to me and text me. I'm not untouchable. I don't care if it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. If I don't call you back, that means I'm on the phone or doing my business with my bus electric service. But I promise you I'll call you back in 24 hours. And if I don't, keep calling me. You'll not worry me. Let's stay strong as a community. White, black, gay, straight, I don't care. I don't care. The only thing I care about, bettering people's lives that allow me to represent you. So continue to fight for us in the community. Continue to be in unity, because we're dealing with some difficult times. And I'm not against y'all. I'm not against nobody. When I make my decision, it's based on information in front of me and the resources that I have to make that happen. And sometimes we have to go find the money. But I work for you all. I promise you I do. And I have no problem with you calling me. You never worry me. You never worry me. So and I like the diversity in the room. From the educated level to the racial level to everything. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with political. I don't know nobody political view in here or whatever. I talk to Republican, Democratic. If you want to start a Whig political party from the old days, if you make sense, I ain't gonna vote for you though, but it's all right. But thank y'all for listening, and I'm glad I came to speak to y'all because I love to see this, and this is my favorite part of being a commission, engaging the people in the community and listening to your concerns and try to, when I go home tonight, y'all gonna keep me up tonight, write things down, and I'm gonna take a picture of this board and try to find a way to do these things. But work with us and be patient. We're working on some homeless stuff. We're working on bringing economic value. Hopefully something in the near future, in the very near future, is coming down the pipe where we're gonna have some jobs in Baldwin County. It's gonna take a while to rebuild all the jobs we have lost from Shaw, from Mohawk, from Marines, from the state, from the prison system. You ain't gonna get those jobs back. And me and Commissioner Davis have nothing to do with that. If I was in office then, I would have been begging them to keep these jobs here. But eventually we're gonna work, and it's gonna take time to rebuild that. But with people like this in this room, I know we can do it, and I'll never give up. And thank y'all.
Thank you very much. And that's one of the things that is important to keep in mind. And as I said, Mr. Barnes and I were having this discussion, and before we started the event, a lot of the things, a lot of the concerns we're going to have, everything may not be able to get addressed at the local level, right? But it's still important to know those concerns, because we also need to be educated on who those concerns need to go to. And so that is part of the actions that we really need to be taking, is making sure that people know who their concerns need to go to. Because a lot of times, again, people have concerns, but nobody's in the community educating people, telling them about who you address these concerns to. People are not going to people and saying that these concerns, we can take these concerns to the city council or the commissioners, these concerns we got to take to the state, right? There's not a lot of people that are doing that. And so we want to hear all the concerns, and as I said, it's going to take more than one meeting, but in one of the meetings, what we'll definitely need to do is figure out which concerns can be addressed locally, and those will be the concerns that we could build local demands around. But we still got to fight for all of the concerns regardless, right?
I have a question real quick. How often do they like the voting districts and stuff? Like redistricting, yeah. How often do they do that?
Every 10 years?
Every 10 years.
Every 10 years?
When's the last time they did that?
It's based on the census.
Yeah, the last census.
Okay.
So it depends who you talk to, but average 10 years.
Average 10 years.
Every census.
Yeah, so it's every census.
And who control the redistricting? And two words I hate, which I'll say, gerrymandering and gentrification and redlining also. Who controls those aspects of government is the ones that control the redistricting. We have to fight them and try to battle not to do it, but it's gonna be based on population. And who controls that thing? Then you gotta go to the courts. And with the court system we have now, you toss it. And there's no telling how it's gonna go.
So it's controlled by the party in power, which is the Republican.
At this moment,
Yes.
I ain't going to stop it.
One thing, to add to that list, I think it's very important. You need safe meeting places and green places. People need a centralized location that they can go and meet and become comfortable with. Just to give you an example, we started our Hasburg Collaborative, which is right now. Normally, people you see meeting not more than maybe about 20 to 30 people, 160 or 170 different partners. And what that does is give you a base to pretty much, if one of the partners is not able to conclude or do a situation, another partner will. And by being a partnership, when you go to those grants and you apply for those grants with the city, with the counties or the government or with the school system, you're more likely to get those grants than just one individual partner or one individual group. So it makes you strong, and your voting power and your political power, your economic engine is very strong by being collaborative, by being a large group with one particular mission. To give you an example, Hasburg Collaborative, outside of public funding, has made $11 million in the last 10 years. So that's a regional library coming to the area, infrastructure, the GET project, Georgia Community Housing Initiative, where old houses, as long as you own that house and you remain in that house for the next 3 years, you get that house restored totally free to brand new. And the county is on board with that, and the city is coming on board with that now. So there's a new initiative for new affordable housing coming up soon. That's on the agenda right now. That's been applied for. But we wouldn't have been able to apply for these grants if we didn't have that huge community partnership. And that's by people coming together and conducting a survey in their individual areas. Not to say, as when I was elected, what I wanted. By doing that survey, we found out what the people wanted. And so happened that your higher learning education facilities have to do certain community organizations. GMC decided to fund our, what they call a master plan, which is about $38,000. $38,000 went to the master plan, and after that master plan was formulated, all of a sudden, money started rolling in from different areas. It's a lot easier for the county or the city to match $100,000 on $1 million project than to pay for $1 million to get that building. So by partnerships, we started out at the name Hasburg Collaboration, but the partnership has already become much more than that. It should be just called collaboration. But that was the only place that we could meet consistently. Every week, every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Now the other thing is, I heard the lady talking about a situation about resources. We did come up with SHINE is the Sheltering Health Initiatives Nurturing program that works through the CDC. Comes with and they work out the health department. They did come up with a new resource calendar. And our resource calendar is stuff like Overview, Northbridge, these organizations that do have money to lend when you're in a situation you may need it economically, or you may need something to deal with your child with health or mental health issues or anything like that. A whole lot of organizations that are at your expense that you may not know about. but they did do a new resource thing. I have a book. As soon as I can get that website, I'll forward to Cindy. I'll put it on the Hasburg Collaborative page, and I'll forward to Cindy so you can reach out to her as well to get that research. We're supposed to have a website with all the resources that anyone can look on and find out some of the things. It's a lot of them. We've been doing this for years now, and I can assure you, you would not realize how many resources are out there. Knowledge is the key. One may turn you away, and then the second one may turn you away. That third one may open the door for you. We don't know. We just try to come together and do a lot of these things. As Mr. Butt said, county governments are more state-oriented. Very limited amount of money in the county. Most of the stuff, I think about 85, it used to be, now it's about 90% of their budget is mandated by the state as to what they have to do with it. The other is very discretionary. Even fire department, they don't have to have that. They can get rid of it. So they don't have a whole. City governments are more charter. That means that they build their government and they have to, and they decide how they want to, what services they want to offer. So when you start talking about getting a lot of money from your city and your county, you're looking at a very limited pool most of the time. So you have to get grants and other stuff to fund it. And the only way you're gonna know they're out there is by coming together and becoming as a large engine and have a strategic plan to be able to find that money and be able to change it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've been doing this for years now out there, and we want to try to spread some of that information and help build a strategic plan so the voting entry can be greater, our community can be greater, our education rate can be greater, and that's why I said we need those safe communal places. You can have after-school programs. You can have meetings. People can come together. You can have voting precincts in your community because you have to meet people where they are. It's a lot harder to go way across town to get people to come together when they can just get in that car, go right up the road 5 minutes after they get off work, and they don't have to miss the kids' meal. So you have to make it convenient for them.
All right, and this is Greg Barnes again, and I want to go back to the city of Milledgeville. So what I'm about to say is about the city, and there are two things we need to work on. I think that we need to put on our demands. The first one is talking about for young people. We need to encourage city council to create a oversight board of the police department. When I got driving while black one time, and you know me, as soon as he stopped me, he knew what I was going to do. As soon as he left me, I went straight down to the police department. I filed a complaint. Now, guess where the complaint went to? The complaint first went to his boss, who then said it wasn't driving while black. Then the second time it went to the chief. Okay, and then the third appeal went to the city manager. No community input at all. Now we should have in the city, we should have more oversight on opportunity of law enforcement for the community to come in and say, no, let's create some better policies. That's the first thing. Second thing, as a majority minority, we can have a better economic development plan that can be funded by the city to work inside of on the south side of town, because, like you said, they have more opportunity to grow, to grow the business and anything that the county does not have. But if we never ask the question, we'll never get the answer. And let's go back to the police. Let me just say this. I'm tired of us waiting till something happen with the police before we start asking questions. If we proactive and we got a policy, a plan in place, then we can be better assured that there's no one taking advantage of being a police officer. So I think we need to make sure we have those conversations leading up to the next election system.
piggyback on what former Commissioner Tunney said, is that we have a CHIP program, which Community Housing Initiative Program. It have put out about $1.3 million, and through the CDBG grant, I think it had added another $1 or $2 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. And it have all came in me and Commissioner Davis' district. We did think at the time, I think we'd have renovated and getting ready to build 2 more homes, about 10 homes out of that, with the potential to do 10 more homes. We just got approved for $1.1 million grant from the federal, from Oshkosh and Warnock. So it's things that we're doing to bring affordable housing in Baldwin County, but it's not going to be settled overnight. It's going to be a tedious and long journey, but hopefully we'll keep going out there, finding that money, keep improving 1 or 2, 5 families at a time until we get all of them in the community, and keeping people maintained and based in their community. So it's things that we're doing out there working. You might not see it, but I promise the people that we're helping and coming to the process, and it take a process to do it. You got to go through to make it be equal for everybody. You got to show up at the meeting. We put it out on the website, newspaper, word of mouth, everything. But I don't know how to reach 50,000 people in Baldwin County. I just know the avenues that I got to try to reach them, and some of my mic can't reach. But we are doing things at 1 block, 1 street, 1 block, 1 community at a time. We're making a difference. It's not going to be dead overnight. Just be patient, be vigilant, come out and get involved. That's my motto, what I did ever since I came in politics. Get involved. Don't ask me what I can do, ask what we can do together to make our community better.
When we talk about what are our concerns, we have a transportation issue. We know we have the Baldwin Transit, but it's limited to time and probably services as well. And also, I would like to see, as far as education, going back into the communities. You know, Harrisburg School is where I went to school, you know, taking the schools back into the communities, or either setting up, when we talk about education, you know, there's no reason that anyone in here shouldn't be able, in Baldwin County, shouldn't be able to read, but a lot of times they can't get to these places, whether it's to recreation or back over to the school when there's a PTA, or where they, you know, where they're doing especially some type of engagement that they're having. But if we put these things, if we ask about putting these resources back in our community, even when we talk about Georgia College and State University, Central Georgia Technical College, you know, I remember Commissioner French, when we had at the Shallow School and at Harrisburg, where we actually tried to offer these things, but we got to take the things to the people as well. So, you know, they've got to be willing to even bring those back into our communities. But because they can't, we're losing out a lot with a lot of things because they can't get there because of transportation. And then going back with the Harrisburg community meetings on Tuesdays, those were started when I was working at the Recreation Department many years ago, and we kept it going even after I retired. But if you want to stay involved and hear about some of the housing and things that the county is doing, these affordable housing, because they're doing some great things, you got to start coming to some of these meetings, which are actually in the community. We have Oconee Heights that meets on the first Thursday. That's Commissioner Davis's district. If you don't come, you don't know. You might miss out on a house or some things that are going on. You know, then we have one in Cooper's that they meet on the 3rd Thursday at 5:30. So, you know, just some ways that you can stay involved, you know, or know what's going on. But we've got to start going to the communities, because a lot of times they can't get to where they need to be.
Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Emily Davis, Commissioner of District 1. And just to piggyback on some things, as far as housing is concerned, you say you need to know where you go to get help for these different things that's on the list. Housing, the county we've already activated the GET team. And so, like Ms. Cindy has said and Commissioner Butts has said, we are already working on housing in the county. Okay, and those houses right now have been in Commissioner Butt's district and in my district. We have partnered with Habitat. We partnered with Georgia College. If that house is not in your name, and that's, you know, if you can try to get, we all know what family member will pay the taxes, what family member will do this, that, and the other. So why are you going to leave it to everybody in the family when they're going to have a hard time getting their $100 from sister, or brother, auntie to help them pay the taxes? So, you know, that's another struggle we've had. We had someone miss a brand new house. The house is going to be pushed down and built brand new because one sister would not sign. And we were paying all the legal fees. We put about, what, $8,000 into that person, if not 10, like you said, to work with them, to get their deeds, to get everything ready, but one person would not sign. So, and I know we want to save our houses, our parents and all work for it, but sometimes we just can't do that. You know? But the county has really worked on housing. If you ask around and people tell you the truth, or you come to some of the meetings, you will hear what we are doing with housing. The county. Okay? And as far as education or employment, that's the development authority. That's their job to bring jobs in here. And those meetings, and I think it's by design, or 8 o'clock in the morning when no one can come. And I just leave that right there. But that's something the community need to get involved in and work on them changing those meeting times. The average person, you know, if you retire, you might be just eating breakfast at 8 o'clock. You know, if you're working, you probably at work or on your way to work.
What do they see about that, Commissioner?
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Who would they see?
The Development Authority.
So where is that?
They have an office in the government building.
Okay.
It's upstairs, across from the commissioner's office.
Okay.
Yeah. And the next one, education, that's school board. Get involved in going to school board meetings. Anita, you write so small. What else?
We got resources for the disabled.
Oh, yeah, resources to help you with your light, gas, etc. We have some people coming in July, the second week of July, and Commissioner Butts and I put some names on the list. They're going to be putting in handicap ramps, rails. They're just going to be doing things for people, and they're going to be housed. It's going to be about 225 employees. And one of those days, Commissioner Butts and I are going to help provide macaroni and cheese. Commissioner Butts, myself, and Stella's going to help provide macaroni and cheese and green beans for their fried chicken dinner night. So, you know, it's a lot going on our side, the county side. But if you don't come to the meetings, you don't know. You can't, that video is not going to show you everything. And that's what I told AARP today. Some things happened Tuesday night that if you weren't at that meeting, you could not see some of the actions and the expression. You can only hear. But you got to be there sometimes to know. What's the next one under?
Safe meeting places.
Oh, safe meeting places where we have our churches. But sometimes some people are not some people may not be comfortable coming to Wesley or Flag or First Baptist or North Ridge. So we do need a centralized location, like a library maybe, for people to come to safe meetings. I didn't finish.
Oversight board for the police department. Where you at?
I didn't finish telling them about where they could go for help. They have not only overview, but you have Sacred Heart. It's Helping Hands at Sacred Heart Church. Some of the churches in the community will help, because I've called some of the churches to help people. But the issue is they will only help you once a year. They can't help you 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year because they try to spread it around. So if they help you pay your light bill in December, you need to try to pinch off a little bit and be able to pay it in January or April, whenever the next time. You know, they will only help you once a year. And if I'm not mistaken, if they help you in December, I don't think you can come right back in January, even though it's a new year. That's a little, you know. So it is some things out there, you know, and you can just call us and we will let you know or find out and get back with you.
So, make a sign-in sheet for you. Sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one. I'll give you the copy.
Hello, everybody. I'm a person that loves to have town hall meeting. I go to the county commission meeting. I go to city council meeting. I go to all different kinds of meetings. But most of all, what my concern is in Baldwin County, Milledgeville, is the ambulance service. We have maybe 2 ambulance services that serves Baldwin County and Spalding. We have been complaining at town hall meeting about we need more emergency service, but we don't get that. And we also have about when the police department or sheriff department, we've been fussing about emergency bags. What I mean by emergency bag, they might go out to a domestic and something happened and somebody died. They don't even have no kind of response to help them until the ambulance service get there. So that is one of the biggest things that people need to look at, how we can get more ambulance service in Baldwin County, Milledgeville. Because if somebody don't have a car, it might be 2 or 3 hours before the ambulance service get to their house and they're dead. So I think that's a big in my book, that we need to definitely look into that. And the police department, just like Mr. Barnes said, you have white, that's just racial, point blank, ain't no if, and, buts about it. And I done went up through the best of them. One thing about me, I don't back down, you know, but they don't have the body cams on. I had a young lady here last year, was on her way back to school, on her way back to school, and an officer stopped her and told her the only way she was gonna leave, that she had to give him some. And a couple ended up going by her and turned around and came back. And he was an older white man, and they throwed it out. And to this day, that young lady is still traumatized. I have a problem with that. I really have a problem with that. So it's not just about young people getting involved. The elder people got to get involved too, because these are our babies that's going off to college, going off to job corps, going off to the army or whatever. And we got to stand firm when our babies are involved. Thank you.
Now, the ambulance service, Adrian, we have a contract with them, and we should have 8 to 10 ambulances in this county all the time, and we have no control over Hancock. They have their private ambulance service.
Well, they always told us every time we went to a meeting that it was only 2 to 3, right, Sandy?
At one time it was,
Yeah.
but that changed with the new contract.
I know not even 6 months ago, a young man was at the house, didn't have no way to get to the hospital. And it took 4 hours and a half, and they had to amputate the man's leg. So
Well,
where the
Kendrick
eight
and
at, I
I-
don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying what I know, what I have experienced. I don't know about nobody else, but what I have experienced.
Well, the county has a contract with the ambulance service, so did you reach out to Kendrick? I know you didn't reach out to me,
No, I didn't.
okay? And you
Because
can
we
come.
done had a town hall meeting before, when I talked about the ambulance, down to Union Baptist Church. And I know Kendrick was down there, but I don't know if the last town hall meeting that we had.
And also county commission meeting is a good place to come because all the commissioners are there, the county manager and staff, because that needs to be checked into. Now, if you have a date and a time and an address, we can go back and check into that, because when you call 911, all that stuff is logged in.
They just recently put up, it was before they put all these flop cams up. That's when it happened before that.
But still, when you call 911 for an ambulance, that's locked in. So they can go back and check that time frame. Hancock County has their own private ambulance service. So, and no other county has control over another county anyway. So you need to go to Hancock for that. And
I think our contract state, we have 3 ambulances and a backup with 4 ambulances at $198,000 over the contract. But also if you might have 4 incidents, if you're in a motor wreck and you got 3 people got to be transported, but we still will get other ambulance service that come in and do that. And sometimes it might take an hour or 2 hours. Unfortunately, that's just what the contract we have with them. I'll be willing to explore doing more of a contract if the citizens are willing to pay the tax costs on that contract. You can have 10 ambulance here. If 5, 6 people get hurt at a time, they're gonna be transported. It might be at some time you might not have ambulance, so it's gonna be things that happen that's out of our control. You know, if you have those ambulances, we're not a county that's gonna be able to afford 20 ambulances sitting around. We get reports every month of the calls that we get, and I'll be glad to share that report with anybody. It's not private. If you want a copy of it.
When I said it was only but 2.
Okay, so I don't know about the incident. If you want to give me the information, we got Bud on. He's a fellow commissioner in another county that run our ambulance service. I'll be glad to forward the information to him and get you a response back. You know, I can only address something that comes before me and let me know, and I'm gonna address it and see if it's true or not. Well, I'm gonna get the evidence of it, let him present us the evidence and see what's going on with it. But if you don't bring it to me, I can't. There's no way that I'm gonna know that the incident even happened. And once you bring it before me, I'm not gonna give you an answer. Just like Commissioner Davis said, you call 911, you locked in. They're gonna know everything. And if any time I interact with a law enforcement, I'm gonna ask them, you got that body cam on? You got the body? If they don't, I'm gonna put my recording on and do that. You know, I don't know about that. And they supposed to have it on. And when they do come around, I'm like, you got your body cam on for my protection and your protection also. I don't know what to tell people. You know, I was taught coming up to my parents and everything, when you interact with the police, do what they say do and keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Yes, I will. If they stop me, the police stop me, and I think that he ain't got that body camera, that's gonna be the first time.
And I want to say something real quick. And I definitely appreciate our elected officials being here, but I do want to prioritize the voices of our community. And I think that a lot of times when the community speaks to something, and I understand that you all may be doing all that is within your power, but these are things. None of these issues are new in Baldwin County or Milledgeville, and that's the unfortunate part about it, right? And these are also systemic issues, and this is one of the reasons why today we wanted to stress the need for a unified voice, because 1 or 2 people can't just go to these meetings. It has to be an organized group of people going into these meetings, and it has to be an organized group of people that are willing to hold people accountable. And so I understand, a lot of what you all are saying, and I don't want to make it seem like we don't appreciate you all being here, but I still, I want people to feel heard, and I think that the issues that you brought up and other people have brought up are very important to be heard, because these are things that I've dealt with police officers in Milledgeville as well. Had very troublesome encounters with them, and even to Ms. Edwards' point earlier when she was talking about Georgia. I'm not sure what the city's relationship is with Georgia College, but I graduated from Georgia College in 2020. I was a student there, and one of the things that I can definitely say is that I do certainly feel that that university contributes a lot more to the issues than it does to the solutions. If you look at the racial makeup of the undergrad population at Georgia College, by the last report that they put out, their diversity report, only 2.3% of their undergrad population is black. well over 40% of Milledgeville's population is black. The only area in which black people were overrepresented on that demographic report was as janitors, as people who did, the labor, the what they call low skill work, right? And that's a problem because that means that people from this community are not getting access to higher education. And if people in this community are not getting access to higher education, that means people in this community are not given an opportunity to be able to stay in this community and help develop it further. And so a lot of these things, we understand, one or two politicians are not going to be able to change it. These things are by systemic design. And so, part of being involved in local politics is also building a strong local political infrastructure. And one thing I want to put on this list of concerns before I pass the mic off is food insecurity. Yeah. This is one of the areas that I've been working in very heavily since I came back to Milledgeville. I've helped start 3 community gardens in the past year to help, address food insecurity. And I think that it's one, related to a lot of these other issues like transportation and like employment. People are just not able to either get access to food or afford to buy food to feed themselves and feed their families. And I think that that's a really big issue, and that's something that, again, as we have more of these meetings and we understand what the scope of our city's government power is to address some of these things, it's definitely something that I think the community needs to bring forward on their platform.
I have a question. When we talk about Georgia College, when I said that, now we have some folks that work and who are really into our community that work, because everybody needs to work, right? Mm-hmm. So sometimes you work at places that you might not agree with everything that they, with their policies and procedures, but you gotta work, you gotta feed your families. So I wanna appreciate anybody that's here that, we call them, including the commissioners, which y'all don't get paid for it, but, just knowing that we know that you guys have to work and you got a job to do. But when we talk about Georgia College and State University, and the numbers that you gave are so true. My son, he got his bachelor's from Georgia College and State University. Tried to get him to stay, and he didn't want to stay here, so he's getting his master's somewhere else. And all the while he was there, my heart was going pitter-patter because I was just sitting ready. And so, but I'm not saying at Georgia College, I know there's a whole lot of logistics too to that as well. So that's something that I think that we as a community, if y'all are here in our community, we need to know why we can't get in those doors. Are you holding it too high? What do you call it? The GPA is, you have to, come on now, let's do something. There's got to be some type of program that Georgia College could offer, and maybe that might be another talk we may need to have with Kathy Cox, President Cox, as well. But when we talk about Georgia College, the only thing I've ever known Georgia College to be is that GC, to be a gated community, and that's the way I see it. So we need to open up those gates, because education is the key to everything, and it's right here that doesn't make sense that my son or any other kid or has to go off the school to get a quality of education away from their home. And Georgia College is totally taken over, and they're headed to the south side of town now.
I am president of PFLAG, which is an LGBTQ support group here in Milledgeville. And it would be really great to see the city and the county stand behind the LGBTQ community, especially since they are currently under attack. And while the city did do a proclamation last year, but we have not seen any kind of support in that way. And I think there's a little bit of talk about pride flags during Pride Month. But it would be nice to see people standing up for the LGBTQ community.
And you know what? That was on my list to recognize Tuesday night, and some stuff went on, and I do apologize for that. Because I do recognize that June, and I also forgot to recognize June as Black Music Month. So a lot went on Tuesday night before that meeting. And after that meeting, and I'm telling you, y'all need to be involved. You need to be involved. You need to be involved. The pastors, everybody, from the outhouse up to the White House, you need to be involved. Because it's so, and I really forgot to recognize those two things Tuesday night as personal privilege, but I always do that, you know. But I have a question. Was anyone from the city invited to this meeting?
They in Savannah, or we.
That's not my question.
Was anyone from the city invited? Well, it's open to the public. My goal was not to.
Did they know about it, or you didn't particularly want us here, or what?
That was not the intention. Was I wasn't trying to invite anybody specific because it is a platform for the community at large.
Okay.
And so, anybody's welcome to come. But as I said, the goal is to prioritize the voices and the concerns of our community, because a lot of times people don't feel comfortable speaking up when there are elected officials in the room. And so I don't want there to be that fear, because there is, people, we do have to realize that not everybody, and not to get into the, details of, there are certain politics or relationships that, people may not want to, people don't want to step on people's toes or this, that, and the third. So I just wanted it to be a safe space for the community.
But how are we going to know, and how are you going to hold us accountable if we're not here and we don't know and you don't tell us?
Let me address that.
Okay.
So, it was open to the public.
Okay.
It was on Facebook. If you remember, like you and I had a conversation before you came to church, because we talked. And I told you that if you're a member of NAACP, you should have we try to, if it's anything connected with NAACP, we put it out there, whether we're giving it or whatever. Fidelis is a part of our NAACP, and we put it out. I don't know if you check your email or not, but we put it out there on email. It's on Facebook, and it's open to the public. So I'm glad y'all are here for the most part, because sensible enough to know what we need. You've been in the same shoes that we all are here today, and you need to know what we need, what we want. So no, he was not trying to not invite you. You and I talked about this before we came, and I encouraged you to come. Right. So the meeting was open to the public. So if you didn't get the invitation, I'm sorry, but it was on Facebook. It was on our NAACP page. And if you're a member of NAACP, you should have got an email from our secretary. We won't reach everybody. You won't get at every meeting. You won't get a chance to go to every commissioner's meeting in person, but if you can catch it online, might not catch it in real time. Again, we have community meetings, north, south, east, and west that you can come to. So try to stay involved, but we want everybody here. So no, it wasn't a secret or anything. We put it out. We actually on April the 4th, April 7th, as we kind of talked about it, we had a kickoff, and I think you guys were at Commissioner Butts'. He had a town hall meeting on that day. But we're glad you're here so that you can hear what's going on, because we feel like if anybody's going to listen, it's going to be you and Commissioner Butts.
And I missed it on my email. Because I just been doing NACP yesterday. I've been a life member of that and FCLC.
Yeah, I understand. And like I said, what we really wanted to do was create a safe space for the community, because also in speaking to community members, I'm sure it's no secret that not everybody has a favorable outlook on our elected officials, all right? So for them to be able to speak their minds openly, we didn't want to openly say, well, we're bringing elected officials into the room, for this conversation. We wanted people to come, and with the goals being, especially with the upcoming election for city council, that the opportunity for us to bring these things to the table would be at that forum. And, that way, leading up to that, we're educating people, the people who are going to be voting. We're educating those people, and they're bringing their concerns, and we understand, that we need to create a unified voice and a unified platform for the things that the people want to see happen. And also, to be honest, I really didn't want a bunch of politicians in here copping pleas for themselves and what they're trying to do, and what, it's a lot of times that'll derail the conversation, and we just don't want that to happen. So, it's also, trying to avoid that, because that's a lot of times that's what tends to happen. So, so we weren't trying to hide it from anybody, but we, like I said, prioritizing the voice of the community. What I do, is grassroots organizing. I'm not running for office right now or anything like that. I really want to reach, my neighbors, my community, my people where they're at, and bring them to the table and make them feel like their voices are heard and that they have power. Because a lot of people, when you talk to them, we experienced this at the Juneteenth Festival when we're telling people about this event. A lot of people just feel like, well, nothing is going to change. What's the point, right? When nothing is going to change, why should I be voting? Why should I be getting involved? Why should I be coming to meetings? And that's because we've gone a long time with nothing changing, right? We've gone a long time with people not seeing real improvements in their lives. And again, I understand some things may be limited in the scope of what you're able to do, but people need to know that, and people need to know how we move as a community in an organized fashion. And as Mr. French said earlier, having a strategic plan for our community and whose doors we need to go knocking on, who we need to be applying this pressure to, and that's one of the things that I saw happen in the Hancock County community when they were organizing last year, is that they knew exactly who they needed to take certain issues to, and they've been moving in an organized way to be able to get certain things accomplished. I mean, it's only through those organized directives that they did that a railroad isn't coming through their backyards right now, and they're still fighting that fight. And so that's one of the things that, people need to understand, but a lot of people don't know that people have been disengaged for a long time, especially young people, and then nobody's really telling us much. It's, thank God that I like to read, and so I know, there's a lot of things that I go out there and I find that information for myself, but with a lot of people, if you don't put it in front of them, they're not gonna care to go look for that information. And so one of the things that I hope that we leave out here tonight, and hopefully all of you sign the sign-up sheet, is that as we continue to meet and we continue to organize, is that you will also become a representative or voice for this community and reach out to other people and bring them into these meetings. Because when I go to the Oconee Heights meeting, I wish we had more people at the Oconee Heights meetings. We need people there. We have a lot of people at that Harrisburg, collective meetings, but I still want more people to come to that. So we need to be bringing people into the rooms, because a lot of times we get information and we keep it to ourselves, and then when other people don't know, we say, well, why you ain't know? Well, did you tell them? And so every person that I've come across, any information that I have that I think is going to benefit this community, I try to tell them, and I try to bring them to the room. And so, just to address your question.
Yeah, because see, a lot of these people I've never even seen in the county commission meeting, and they probably found out things this evening that the county is doing that they didn't know about.
Right.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's a good thing, because they don't have Facebook or they don't have whatever, so.
No, I understand that. And like I said, I definitely appreciate you all, being here and sharing some of these things.
I promise you this is going to be my last statement. That's why I hold community meetings and come to community meetings like this, so to spread the information and to also get information. But anybody in this room that really is concerned about our strategic and comprehensive plan, get in contact with me and I'll make sure I email you a copy of that. We had public hearings, 3, because we have to have our laws, 2 or 3? 3 public hearings, and people was engaged in it, so we tried to engage. I tried to tell people in my district, you need to be in this if you want to know what your community want to look like, because there's going to be people that scope it, so we do that. And the last thing too, where your address at? Go make sure you ain't running in my district. And if it's in my district, come with me, I'll mentor you.
I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, I've seen Commissioner Butts at a lot of meetings, so I definitely know he's someone who gets out into the community.
How you doing? My name is Quentin. I really had not planned to say anything. I was really looking forward to see what the meeting was, what's going to be, because I've been to so many of these. Cindy, if you remember, I think the first one of these meetings you went to was about 8 years ago, out going towards Sparta, and it was a room full with Jordan Hogan and everybody. Greg did 2 or 3. They meet 2 or 3 times. It is what it is. But I just want to tell you this, because it's good, it's excellent, it's wonderful to have elected people in meetings like this. Yep. Because out of all the meetings, and Cindy and Greg can tell us, I don't think most elected people ever came to any of the other ones. That's a unique part about this. That might be why the other ones didn't go no more. Because they can't go no more if you don't have them. If you made a statement, and I don't mean no offense, but I just want to give you another way to look at it. You said people might not feel comfortable having some of the elected people there. But them, the elected people that shouldn't be elected. And those type of people ain't gonna come to those meetings like this anyway. Probably ain't gonna come this out of town. Part of doing what you're doing and organizing this, brother, is making sure you got the right, what we call stakeholders at the table. And them stakeholders can take them things on that list and do what Emily did and say, wait, this concern go here, that concern go there, and this concern go right down here. And that's important. Because one thing the commissioners hadn't said, and I wish they would say, and I fuss at them, some of the stuff they're talking about doing is not their responsibility to do. They're elected to do a budget. All this stuff when it comes to housing and stuff that they're doing, that's the gravy, that's the gratis, that's the spirit, that's something extra that's good that they're doing, but we don't usually recognize it. We just look and say they didn't do it. Well, a lot of counties, they don't do stuff like that. It's not their responsibility to do it, but it's good to have commissioners who take it upon themselves to make it happen, no matter what party or what affiliation it is. And I just said that to recognize that because sometimes, you all might not do that, but it's not. But it's good to have it. But when you do it in the future, just suggestion, have your stakeholders there as much as possible because they can move this list forward. We can't do nothing but talk about it.
And I appreciate that. And again, just to reiterate, that is the goal eventually, once we bring these demands. But again, for me, is if people don't know what they need to come, or if people aren't, if we have 1 or 2 people in the room every time, and that's a lot of what I've seen over the past year, is the same 3 or 4 people that go to all the meetings, the same 3 or 4 people that's bringing everybody together, the same 3 or 4 people that's doing the things that we say we need to do. And so that's why I'm emphasizing the need for a unified effort, right? Emphasizing the need that before we even go to the stakeholders, let's all come together and figure out what do we even want to go to them about. And then we can ask them, well, if this is not your responsibility, then let me know whose responsibility it is and we go to them, right? And so part of what I strongly advocate for, and I've said this to Ms. Edwards as well, is we need to be a lot more aggressive in our approach in reaching people and bringing people to the table. And we need to be educating people, not just when an election is coming around, but all the time, because things are on the table all the time. New bills, new laws are being passed, new decisions are being made in government, and people just don't know about it. When we got the new superintendent, and she said, there's parents in this community that don't know we got a new superintendent. And that's true. That is true. There's a lot of people that don't know that Dr. Price has retired and we got a new superintendent, right? But what I see as someone who has taken on the responsibility of doing grassroots organizing is that's a responsibility that I've taken on. And so my job is to be able to go out into the community and reach those people who may not always have access to that information, because truth be told, there are a lot of people, especially if you have a family, it's people that are working 60, 70 hours a week and don't really have a lot of time to pay attention to anything other than what's going on in their household. And so unless we're looking to reach those people and make their lives better, we're leaving out a huge segment of our community that maybe they do want to know better, but they just don't have the opportunity to because of everything else that is impacting them. And so by bringing people to the table first, because we'll go to those stakeholders, and once we bring those things to their attention, we'll let them know we want you to come into the community, right? It's an open invite. And I don't think you should have to invite any politician to come into their own community, but that's neither here nor there. But if they do feel like they need an invite, we'll invite you into the community and we'll hold you accountable. And and some people don't like being held accountable, some people don't. Like you said, that's up to the community to decide whether those people need to continue to be in office or not. And so that's what I'm hoping to be able to get across tonight. And one last thing that I want to put on here before we start to close out is, and this is something that I recognize is a consequence of what's going on in the federal government and has had downstream effects, but we do have a significant immigrant population in Milledgeville that I would like for us to also think about. And so, myself being an immigrant, it's definitely something that I think that, we recognize, what's happening, but I don't know if people really recognize that they are also surrounded by immigrants right here in Milledgeville. And so I definitely want that to be on our minds as we continue to work on this list of demands and really figure out what are the things that we can put pressure on our city council to do and our other locally elected officials. And hopefully we continue to work together to, try to impact things on a state level, right? I'm sure there's going to be state elections that are going to be coming up for, state representatives and this, that, and the third, and so we need to be working on those things as well. And so, so moving forward from here, one of the things that is going to be happening is that we're going to be taking this list back with us, and we're going to start brainstorming and narrow things down and, working with you all in the community. And so we will send out an email to everyone who puts their information on the sign-up sheet, because we do want you to be a part of the brainstorming process, and so that way the next time we meet, we've narrowed some things down and we can start really putting something together. And when we get to that forum in September, we can speak with that unified voice and we can have some organized action and figure out in the meantime how to reach our younger voters, right? And that's a really big part of what we need to do. We need to bring young people to the table, people who don't have any loyalty one way or the other and are open to being educated about certain things. Like they say, older folks tend to be stuck in their ways. So that's so that's something that we want to try to.
Brother, you can't bring older voters to the table. I mean, most older folks don't vote.
Yeah.
A lot of times people say the young ones, they forget a whole group. I mean, it's voting is a much broader than the young.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and I'll say I try to talk to older folks. Some of them don't like to hear what I got to say, and that's okay. But I find that the young people are a lot more receptive. So I'm trying to connect with who I can connect with.
It's completely opposite. Older folks will vote much more fast when you talk to them than young folks because of the age difference. The average age of a voter is so much higher.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I understand what you're saying, but I want to close that age, that age difference is what I'm saying. And so I want to give the mic to the young lady back here. She brought some stuff that she wanted me to pass out, so I want her to talk about it and give some information about what it is.
Thank you so much. You can go ahead and start handling it. Okay. I'm an educator here in town, and I recently graduated with my second master's degree, and this one is in public administration. The idea, like you said, a lot of the trickle-down effect of the current administration, one of the things has to do with the massive changes in a lot of governmental agencies that account for a lot of our parts of our lives. Well, the one I'm working with right now has to do with education. And what I want to let you know is that on Monday, July the 7th, I'm hosting a Don't Panic, Prepare education seminar for parents. This is, the invitation is to help encourage parents who understand that with all the new changes that are coming, they're going to have to do more of the heavy lifting when it comes to getting their children prepared for life, prepared for college, prepared for business, prepared for everything in general. And the hope of it is that as we build out an organization that will help basically teach parents how to engage in the public education system. The focus, and I got 3 points on here. The focus on real quality in public education. Like I said, as an educator and a friend of mine who recently retired, she updated me. I thought that the numbers of students that were graduating and who did not have a solid basic literacy understanding started post-pandemic. She told me, no, Donna, that's more like about 10 years. Students have been allowed to graduate and they did not have a firm understanding or a firm awareness of their basic literacy skills. That's basic reading, basic math, and whether you know it or not, once was a time you could be kind of a goof off in high school and then you wind up going to the military, and the military can kind of tighten you up and tighten you up and give you a life, a career, and you can really get yourself together. But now the military can't do anything with you. They can run you through the mud, they can run you up the ladder, but they cannot teach you to read. Well, that's not what they do. Okay? They don't have time to sit there and let you sound out words. So if you're an adult and you don't know how to read, you're really in a negative situation. The next thing I have on here is engage with the child's teacher, school, and district. That is a very important concept. It used to be, parent involvement is what we used to call it. And I've always been kind of disheartened at the idea that, especially Elementary school, you can go have lunch with your kids, support the teacher, and do everything you want to. Middle school and high school, I'm overwhelmed at the idea you have to, you know, you can't do classroom visits, you can't visit them for lunch or anything, but as soon as a problem happens, they're gonna call you and want you to come up there and fix it. But you didn't let me come in where everything was nice and happy and peaceful and going along, but now you want me to come and fix the problem you created? I think parents can do better. With a little more guidance, I really feel like we can do some things better than that. And then the third one I put on here is communicate with your student, future adult. You know, teaching parents how to ask their children, talk to them, and listen to them about their success, their interests, and their goals. Because these children are our future. Allowing the internet and their social media and their smartphone to do all the communicating, it's time for parents to actually understand you're literally going to have to engage. You're going to have to put down your phone. And really, I have it on here. This is the third iteration of what I call the Black Family Sunday Challenge. It started in 2023. And the primary point in 2023 was teaching parents at least one time a week for at least 24 hours, put down the phones and listen and talk to your children. Spend time with them. Get to know them, understand them, and then allow them to get to know you. So that as you grow, so you can't raise little Johnny and Janie, and then by the time 16 and 17 come on, you expect them to still listen to you. You haven't talked to them in 3 years. Okay? So the point of it is this helps to reinvigorate the life of what it takes to be mom and dad in the nucleus family. On the back is the original invitation to my graduation event, and it was the business launch as well. And at the same point in time, it gives you a little bit of information. And basically, the point that I think that I would like people to really pay attention to is this. Not once upon a time, but now is the time for parents, pastors, and pupils, which are students. I put that on there because vocabulary is not things that we don't do like we used to create, communicate, and collaborate for better outcomes and a brighter future. It is clear next school year and many terms thereafter, public school will be different. Going forward, the resources and the people that parents once counted on to help prepare children for a stable, blessed, and prosperous futures may have agendas not focused upon individual student success. Please understand, this is not a fairy tale. And sitting around and hoping things get better is not the answer. We really need to put some energy into this. Juneteenth is coming. That's a mantra I've used many times, and it basically means Juneteenth is always coming. Freedom is always available. But if you don't put any effort into it, you won't have that either. And my name is Donna Hurst. I'm an educator, and I thank you, educator, entrepreneur, and an advocate. Thank you so much. And thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right.
I'm leaving. I do realize it's 7 o'clock, time to go, but you were talking about a forum on the 15th, somewhere in September. Okay, the school board, the city, and the county, we just had a joint meeting on Thursday at Central Georgia Tech, so we're going to have another one in September. So you may want to collaborate with the Board of Education chair, because the Board of Education is the one that's sponsoring these meetings, to see whether it won't be the same evening.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out, and ask y'all one more time, do y'all feel powerful tonight?
Yes.
All right. Repeat after me, all power to the people.
All power to the people.
All right, thank you all so much for coming out tonight, and as I said, we'll stay in contact about what's coming next, and hope you all stay involved and we can make some good things happen in Milledgeville.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.